welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to be continuing with Swan Lake. And this is a different ballet version. This is Mathew Bourne. I think that's his name. This is Bella. Bella's annoying. She is a kitten. But this is not for children. I watched this on Netflix. This is definitely not for children. There's a lot of sexual undertones in this one. So in this version of Swan Lake, it is modern. Now, in the original production, this is not what I watched, not on Netflix, but on Amazon Prime. It has a prologue where you have a young prince who is woken up having a nightmare about swans, and his mother tries to come and comfort him, only she's very, very cold. Then the second part, which is I did see, only it's slightly different. It starts off with a young boy being dressed for the day, and then him going about with his mother doing various things. And during that part of the act, he transforms from a boy to a man. In the production that I saw, there is no young male actor. So you see a grown male actor dancing around and being prepped for the day, though he does, and then pretty much acting like a small child with his mother as she does ribbon openings and all sorts of things and flirting with various soldiers. So it is all one actor. So that's kind of, and that happens, and then he is introduced to a character called the girlfriend, who is very white trash, is how we would describe them. She's very much of a floozy. It's very obvious she's dressed in red. It's a very short dress. She's not well behaved, and she's kind of pushed upon him by von Rothbart. Now, in the original production, there is a similar subplot that you have in Swan Lake, where von Rothbart is the villain, and he's going to be pushing his son on the royal family. Now, in later versions, particularly like the version that I saw, this is taken out. So what happens after the scene where he meets her and introduces her to his mother is there's a ballet scene where they're in a box, they're seeing a ballet. The girlfriend comes and pretty much acts very inappropriate, and she offends both von Rothbart and the queen. And then you have a next scene where the prince is in his bedroom. He's getting drunk. His mother gets mad at him. She leaves. Then he goes wandering the streets. He gets outside a bar. Then you have a whole scene of inside a bar where you do see the girlfriend. There's a lot of dancing going on. Then they're coming out. You see the prince. He sees Rothbart pay off the girlfriend, which makes him depressed because he thought she loved him. So he's not happy about that. So then he's going to go to the park. And though actually before that you see him have a weird dream where he sees a bunch of swans flying and you realize he's going insane. Then he goes to the park. He's going to commit suicide. Then he sees a male swan and a flock of swans, and is attracted to the male swan, who is obviously, this is a ballet, this is a human. And eventually the male swan becomes attracted to him. We have no idea whether or not he's actually a human. There's no magic in this. And then there's a lot of bare-chested men dancing around acting like swans. And there's a very suggestive dancing going on between the prince and the head swan. Now there's some suggestive stuff going on between the queen and various different soldiers. So this is very not for children. There's a lot of sexual undertones to this. So this is definitely for the older crowd, teens and older, depending on what you want them to watch here. So you have this whole scene where the flock of swans isn't particularly happy with the prince and the lead swan, and there's a whole bunch of dancing, and they do a whole pot out of there. So no, I don't care that it's gay. It's just very sexually charged. Then you have the next scene, which is the big ball scene where you have a bunch of princesses and the prince, And this is where the subplot would have come in, though they've taken it out. You have basically what it is the Black Swan comes in. Now it's just some random person. It's not related to Rothbard. The Private Secretary Rothbard is no longer the villain, because this was taken out. In the original, it was his son, and he starts being very suggestive with the Queen, and this irritates the Prince, because the Prince is also attracted to him. This is, he is played typically by the same actor who would play the lead Swan, typical of the regular Swan Lake, where this is kind of the Black Swan. Again, in the version that I saw and the version you typically see now, there is no idea that Rothbard and his son are trying to take over. So that's completely taken out. Rothbard's no longer the villain. And it's just very, very vague, and it's left very vague about the relationship between this black male Swan and the Prince. And then I believe, and I'm going to go back to this, which is again the final act. The Prince is completely lost his mind. He's gone to an asylum, but his mother wants nothing to do with him. He starts dreaming of swans again, but the swans show up, and he's in love with the swan, and then they both die. So, which is kind of similar. This is weird. Now, my only understanding of this and what I recognize it from is, and I think I've reviewed it, the film Billy Elliot, which is about a young boy who grows up in a coal mine town and becomes a ballet dancer. At the end of that film, when you see him as an adult, dressed up as a swan, jumping onto stage, this is the production that he is leading in. So that is the connection that I'm like, okay, so that's what this is. This is the male Swan Lake. It's very interesting. I don't know if I would see it on stage. I might. It's very, again, this is definitely for the older crowd. If you have children who are interested in the history of dance, the history of ballet, particularly moving into the future, because this is a classical ballet done, ballet story done in a modern form. So it is definitely, again, meant for the more adult crowd. It is trying to be more edgy. I'm guessing he's trying to get the attention more of younger adult people to come and see ballets, as opposed to people wanting to see the classic ones. Please attempt to ignore Isabella, who's being a kitten. She is 5 months old here. And her nickname is Monkey. But nonetheless, it's enjoyable, but it's also, I'm very much more fond of classical ballet, though, of course, Swan Lake and, what on earth is the other? Giselle is extremely depressing. And I like the story ballets. I just like more happy endings, and this is just kind of, it's a very much of a mix of classical ballet moves and modern ballet. So it's a very interesting but very sexually charged adult ballet. Isabella. That's just a kitten being a kitten. It has nothing to do with this. But again, for the homeschool crowd, if you're, again, this is more of a high school curriculum. I won't even do middle school with this. Because again, and not to mention, there's a lot of things that, it's very sexually charged. It's extremely depressing. It's very much more overt than I would say some of the classical ballets, because it's not. So, and I may have to review some more of his other versions, because he has a tendency to take classical ballet and turn it on its head. Isabella. Sorry. If you're familiar with my channel, I used to have these same problems with my late calico Kendra, though again, Bella's very young. But nonetheless, if you're looking at the evolution of ballet and different versions of Swan Lake or different versions of various different ballets, and how they evolve, almost trying to make them appeal to a younger audience, this is very interesting to review. Again, if you're looking for the combination of looking at what classical ballet and modern ballet put together, this is again a very interesting ballet to see. I would probably, at the think of it, I would probably actually go see it live, because this would be very, very interesting. Isabella, minus the cat. So, again, if you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. That's pretty much all I have to say for this. Again, I watched it on Amazon Prime, so, and I paid to rent it. So, but again, if you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. I am going to be doing a little bit more Swans, and we're going to be moving into some princess stuff to finish off the year, and some mystery stuff, and then we'll be moving on to the American Girl books, and I'm still kind of ironing that out right now. So again, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thank you.